Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicolas Debeffe, and I'm working for Luxembourg, which is the Internet exchange point here in Luxembourg. I hope that you are all enjoying your Luxembourg Internet Days conference. The colleagues from Post, Deloitte, and I will give now a few words about a new information sharing community and platform that we have recently set up, and which is called PISAX. And yeah, by the way, there will be a Q&A round at the end of the session. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop these within the chat section. And yeah, we will answer this question by the end of the talk. So let's go. What is PISAX? PISAX stands for Pan-European Information Sharing and Analysis for Internet Exchange Point and GPRS roaming exchanges. It's a CEF telecom funding program co-financed by the European Union. What is the objective of PISAX? The objective is to create a Pan-European Information Sharing and Analysis Center, most commonly called an ISAC, in order to support Internet exchange points and GPRS roaming exchanges. Well, that's fine. Now the question is, what exactly is an Internet exchange point? An Internet exchange point is a network infrastructure that interconnects locally at national level content consumer, ISP customers most of the time, and content provider, internet caches like Google caches, Akamai, Netflix, Facebook, etc. What is a GPRS roaming exchange? It's also a network infrastructure dedicated to mobile device roaming connectivity. In other words, we want to put in place an automated and secure threat intelligence sharing system for those communities by laying the basis of a collaboration that will enhance their cybersecurity posture. Yeah, because currently information is really crucial, and against all these threats, we are stronger being together. What is the strategy for building the ISAC? We want to gather IXPs and GRX community around a reference threat intelligence sharing platform. And the chosen platform is MISP, originally stands for Malware Information Sharing Platform, but which has been recently rebranded MISP Threat Sharing. We have set up dedicated instance of the MISP platform, one for the IXP community, which is the misp.pisax.org, and one for the J community, which is the misp.gsma.com. Who is behind PISAX initiative? We have Post Luxembourg, Luxembourg, and Security Made in LU.
Nicolas?
Yes.
I think you are still on the first slide for me. On the
sorry, I was paused or resume. So yeah, I go on with who is behind the PISAX initiative. We have Post Luxembourg, Luxembourg, and Security Made in LU. Now it's better, I think. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, what is Post Luxembourg? Post Luxembourg is the national historical telecom operator here in Luxembourg. Post has also an important background in cybersecurity with the Post Cyber Force dedicated team, which delivers managed security services, perform pen test, SOC and CSIRT activities, and perform telecom security services. Post has also been for a long time an important contributor to the MISP threat sharing platform. But what is the most important in the context of PISAX is that Post is member of the GSM Alliance and an active contributor in the Information Sharing and Analysis GSMA group. In the context of PISAX, the main role of Post is to strengthen an existing ISAC GRX community and to enhance the platform automation. What is Luxembourg? Luxembourg is an internet exchange point here in Luxembourg, as already said, But LUKIX is also member of the EuroIX, which is an European IXP association gathering about 70 IXPs around the world. In the context of PISAX, the role of LUKIX is to coordinate the PISAX project, but also to build the new IXP information sharing community. LUKIX is also supporting LUNOG, which is Luxembourg Network Operation Group, which is a technical discussion group. And beside these technical activities, LUKIX has also some promotional activities with the famous Luxembourg Internet Days Conference, which is an annual conference dedicated to network and cloud security, and this year mainly focused on crisis management and resilience. Last but not least, LUKIX is currently finalizing the National DDoS Scrubbing Center, which has been requested by the Luxembourg government. This is a crisis security measure meant to mitigate high volumetric DDoS attacks. Finally, what is Security Made in Alu? Security Made in Alu is a brand, and under this brand, we have three main pillars. First pillar, the circle.yalu, which is the most important contributor to the PISAX project, which is the Computer Incident Response Center here in Luxembourg. These guys also lead the MISP development since 2011 and operate multiple sharing in different sectors. In the context of PISAX project, they will help in the PISAX platform deployment, and they have helped in the PISAX platform deployment as it's now in production, and they will ensure PISAX sustainability after the CEF grant. Second pillar, cases.lu, which delivers cybersecurity awareness and develop and support Monarch, which is a risk management methodology and platform. Finally, the third pillar, C3, Cybersecurity Competence Center Luxembourg, under which we can find the Room 42, which is cyber attack scenario simulation dedicated to the training of incident response teams. Now, my part is over, and I will leave the stage to Alexandre De Oliveira from Post-Luxembourg, which will give you a few words about PISAX's journey within the GSMA. So, Alexander, the stage is yours.
Thank you. I think I can move to the first slide. So first, where are we coming from? Basically, the telecom operators somehow appeared in the beginning of the 90s, but not like for the IT world. Security really came a long time after, mainly because the operators were quite put on aside on a different world, which was the telecom world, that was really not mixed with the IT world. So even if we had security sharing communities, it was happening only in very limited groups of mature operators that were able to share some IOCs that they could collect. But it was not something that was massively done back in the time. Now, since I would say 5 to 8 years, we've seen a huge shift because also the telecom operators have moved their infrastructure to a more IT infrastructure. So there is no more boundaries between IT and telecom. And this made the telecom infrastructure way more exposed to the IT attacks. So starting to collaborate and to share about telecom and IT attacks for telecom operators became a huge necessity. So that's why at Post we started to really develop and bring this information sharing communities that we had before in IT that were led by the circle to the telecom world. I think we can move to the next slide. So what we have done with the circle is that we have seen since few years that this telecom security sharing was not really happening, or it was happening through emails, etc. So at the end, we are discussing with Circle, with whom we are involved in different projects, that we are like, okay, let's try to implement a MISP instance, but specifically for the telecom sector. Because we knew that telecom operators would not really agree to start to share on a completely open platform, but so we would have deployed a specific platform for them. The second step of the journey was at the end to present to the telecom community, which is led by the GSMA, which is the GSM Association, so the association of all the operators around the world, where on one of the fraud and security events in 2018, we did a presentation about how MISP could contribute to bring telecom security sharing into the GSMA community. From there, in the same year, in November, the GSMA, so directors, etc., decided that MISP was the way to go at the end after investigation, and we decided to help them to implement their own MISP. And since then, you can move to the next slide. Since then, we are welcoming more and more members. So today, we have more than 100 organizations, so operators, which are part of the platform. So means that in less than 2 years, at the end, we managed to have more than 100 operators in the platform, and we have today around 250 events of telecom-related attacks. So for us, it's quite a success because I would say starting from scratch, this type of initiative, you never know what will happen. It's always quite a big challenge. I think you can move to the next slide. Yeah, so part of these challenges, the first one was how to reach the community. Post is part of the GSMA, and I mean, they have more than 1,000 members. So for us, going through the GSMA was the first easy step because we knew that with their approval, we could go further and faster by onboarding a lot of operators. So that was the first step. And then exactly like Circle is doing with different organizations when they want to bring MISP, so Post and Circle, we started to do trainings to the new telecom members on how to use MISP, how to guide them on the onboarding, how to publish events, how to do sharing. And so this was, and it's still ongoing, to be honest. So we'll do one tomorrow. And the last one is to create anonymous publishing mechanisms, meaning that if your organization doesn't allow you to publish on their name directly the attacks, you can still use the GSMA to publish on your behalf the events, which is quite good because, I mean, as you know, telecom operators were not opening easily their informations. So that was also another challenge that we had to face. It's a bit, the conclusion of our journey on building the MISP Telecom with the GSMA.
I think I can take from that part. Thank you, Alexander. My name is Nastassia Salash, and today, together with my colleague Vizal Mamadzada, a part of the cybersecurity practice in Deloitte Luxembourg, we're going to speak of different type of challenges that PISAX, let's say, was facing, and the challenges I'm talking about here are the regulatory aspects of what you are have to face when you set up an information sharing community such as PISAX. So in this particular project, two big aspects that we take a look at was the famous Network Information System Directive, the NISD. For those who have attended the presentations just before us, might be already quite aware of it. And you can show the first slide. And the second aspect was, of course, the very famous GDPR. So with the Network Information System Directive, what is quite interesting that the goals of PISAX go just in line with NISD directive, because the directive itself and law which is implementing the directive in Luxembourg is in its core, it promotes sharing of information and best practices, and it is basically what PISAX is about overall. Moreover, as it was already mentioned by Nicolas, the members of the PISAX are it's basically a cooperation between the operator of essential services, which are again the subjects under the NISD directive. So we have here the operator of essential services, which were the Internet Exchange Point, and the GRX, which are also, I don't know if Post finally got the OAS status, but because it's also country by country, but it can be considered as operator of essential services in different countries. What is also interesting about the NISD directive and the law implementing it, is that it contains the requirements to notify incidents to the national competent authorities. And through PISAX, we really try to share this information to make this process more unified across Europe. Thus, a part of the PISAX project, we try to, let's say, gather information. What is the exactly, let's say, type of information that you have to notify, well, notifying the incidents to your national competent authority. And as you might know, the NISD, this is that needs to be implemented country by country, meaning that these requirements can be very different from one country to another. And to make this more unified, PISAX is trying to exchange this type of information. On top of the requirements to notify the incidents, PISAX aims to improve the internal capabilities of the operators of essential services, IXPs and GRX, to meet reporting requirements and the national laws. So basically, what we try to do is to do it through the one platform on the Luxembourgish level, and with the help of Circle, we are thinking how to improve the reporting itself. So apart from the requirements introduced by the NISD, the cooperation mechanism that PISAX provides in order to, let's say, to meet the goals of NISD, what we also do in this project, we also help the IXP, which was the Luxix in this case, to do, let's say, the gap analysis of the compliance with the NISD, and using our experience of the various existing standards and best practices, we also did the, let's say, the compliance check of the Luxix with the NISD directive that can be, let's say, also meeting the requirement of the NISD that is imposed on the operators of essential services to implement the risk-based approach, and to show their proactive, let's say, compliance with the directive. So apart from NISD, we also took a look at the famous GDPR, and we can take a look at the second slide. This particular usually raises a lot of questions. So first of all, when we talk about PISAX and information sharing, first aspect is that GDPR does not forbid to share information within PISAX, within information sharing community. What is quite interesting that we need to understand how does it GDPR correlates with the PISAX, and this only works when we share personal information. So information shared with the PISAX may contain personal data, such as IP addresses, domain names, other online personal identifiers. But some security information will no longer include personal data if, let's say, an individual cannot be identified from such information. So it really, we need to take closer look every time when we're talking, is GDPR applicable or it's not. So only if we can actually identify a particular person, then we can talk about GDPR. So another point about the data protection in PISAX is that information sharing is voluntary. So for instance, we are talking, PISAX is for the members that are voluntarily sharing information. So we're not talking about the, let's say, CSIRTs that have certain obligation, maybe for sharing this. We're talking about that any member having access to personal information is, let's say, in the sense of GDPR, is itself determining the purpose of processing, and it's in a way deciding for themselves whether they're willing to share this personal information or not. Another aspect of the GDPR is that it can actually enable information sharing within PISAX. Thus, if I'm not mistaken, is recital 49 of GDPR that actually says that a processing of personal data is in a way to some extent it is necessary, it is strictly necessary and proportionate for the purpose of ensuring network information security. So in other words, GDPR may enable information exchange of personal data between the PISAX members to ensure the security of the networking information. So it basically goes in line with the goals of the PISAX. However, as any lawyer would say to you while talking about the GDPR, that despite that it enables and it doesn't forbid sharing information, collecting personal data in the first place, meaning before sharing it with the other PISAX members, means there are certain responsibilities, such as, let's say, when you are a controller, I hope this concept you're a bit familiar, if not, we can discuss it. Controller is responsible for collecting the information, such as providing proper information to these data subjects, being transparent with them, or putting certain safeguards for keeping the data, destroying the data, etc. So this is pretty much for what we take a look at the GDPR and the PISAX, and I think more information can be found on our page, if I'm not mistaken. Nicolas, you may correct me.
Yeah. It's on the website.
Yes. So feel free to ask any questions.
Yeah. Now we have done with the presentation. If there are any questions, you can unmute or drop the chat. Okay. Nobody. Well, the presentation is then finished. Thank you very much for attending our PISAX presentation, and enjoy the end of your Luxembourg Internet Days conference then.